Welcome to a wild day of college football, and it's about to get crazier as Iowa and Penn State kicks off in about 15 minutes at Kinnick Stadium. Inside the News Radio 1040 WHO studios, I'm Travis Justice. He's Ross Peterson. And good afternoon, sir.
Good morning, good afternoon, whatever. The day's all wacky and wild, and I'm geared up, man. I'm anxious and excited, and all the emotions.
You know, before we even get to the Penn State-Iowa game, that Texas-Oklahoma game is absolutely incredible. Arkansas just scored a touchdown going for a two-point conversion to try to beat Ole Miss in Oxford.
They're going for two to win it on the road.
They're going for two to win it. And if these first two games have been any indication of what's going to come up yet between Iowa and Penn State, now they won't be as high scoring as this, but they may go down to the wire. That's for sure, Ross.
Well, Travis, today, wild games, Iowa, Penn State, these have always been slobber knocker games, man. Some of my favorite memories in Kinnick Stadium during my time as a season ticket holder were Penn State games. And it's just a typical matchup. You know what I mean? These teams, they're so equal when you start to break this thing down on paper. And I know we're going to talk a little bit about this, but I do think there are a few places where the Hawkeyes have an advantage and so a few places that scare me a little bit.
And what would those be? I think they have the advantage on the special teams most of all.
That would be the biggest one for me. The biggest advantage is special teams. The disadvantage, the thing that scares me, I think, right now is the fact that you've got a quarterback that can make some plays and move, and that's typically been a problem for Iowa defenses, but this year has not been. The Hawkeyes have done such a great job of staying in their lanes. I've heard Ed and Gary talk about this a lot today. Staying home, playing your defense that you're assigned to do, and then all 11 guys can cover the field and make the tackles. It's very difficult to stay that disciplined in a big game like this. It's the only thing that really worries me. I think other than, it's just going to be a tight football game. I expect this to be a really close one, but I've thought that before and been fooled.
Arkansas's two-point conversion falls flat. Ole Miss wins the game 52-51.
I should have known. Lane Kiffin was praying, so I should have known that. Yeah,
I think it was the popcorn. The interesting part about this is I was a young whippersnapper. I was 15, 16 years old. The last time you had a top five matchup at Kinnick Stadium, you got to go back to when 1985, when Iowa, ranked number one in the country, beat Michigan, number two in the country. That was a classic, and this has the potential to be a classic for sure.
Yeah, that was the Rob Houtland kick, right? That ended that one.
Yep.
It does, Travis. This thing, again, on paper, these teams match up so closely. Very good defense. Best defense either one of these offenses has faced all season long. And I think that the first building block, you talk about this a lot, is going to be running the ball. If one of these teams has a huge advantage running the ball, they're going to win this football game because it's going to open up some things on defense. I think we're going to see a football game where a couple things are going to matter. Turnovers and special teams. And I like the Hawkeyes in a game like that. You don't have a quarterback in Spencer Petras that's going to go out there and make the big mistakes. And you've got a special teams unit that seems to be able to kind of change the game. So that's the things I'm going to be looking for early on. First building block, running game. How that affects the offense is number 2. 3, special teams. And then that fourth one, which I'm most confident in, is that the defense is going to be solid on both sides of the ball.
Penn State leads this overall series 17-13. Of course, Iowa won a year ago, 41-21 in Happy Valley. That snapped a 6-game losing streak to the Nittany Lions. This is different, right? This is, Iowa's kind of been under the radar this year. Of course, the Iowa State game was huge, but I didn't think it has as much national appeal as what this was, because Iowa wasn't ranked as high as it is. Iowa ranked as high as it's been since the 2015 year. All eyes of the nation, all voters, everybody is watching this game because it's number 3 against number 4.
And Kinnick's going to be rocking, and it's going to be a great look for the University of Iowa. You got a bunch of the top recruits that you're targeting coming in tonight. There's a lot at stake, Travis. You win a game like this, it looks good nationally for a long time.
Yep.
You all of a sudden are on the radar for sophomores and freshmen and junior high kids that you were not on the radar for before. And when Kirk Ferentz or Phil Parker makes that phone call to these kids, now all of a sudden they go, whoa, I remember a really fun Saturday night watching Iowa kick butt.
Peggy says, go Hawks. It is going to be the black and gold game. You're going to see the stadium striped. And contrary to what your picture says, I'm wearing gold and Ross is wearing black right now, right?
What does it look like? Does it look like Penn State blue?
No, I think it looks like Iowa blackish, maybe. Yeah, I think.
I was at a funeral, so I hope our bosses are okay with me not wearing my. It's the first time I haven't worn Hawkeye gold.
And to be honest, you were at a funeral and you were in what cheer Iowa today, right?
I think it's the lights.
I do too. I think it's the lights.
And then you put this logo on my side, so it gives the perspective.
Is that what it is?
Sure.
Well, Doug says, as you can see right here, kind of looks blue.
Doug.
Kind of looks blue. No, don't do that. Don't do that. We don't want to see that. That would kind of freak us out a little bit, right?
That's what happens when the opening of the show is firing and we're really hyping each other up.
And I just gave you a different name, but I do need to tell you that the Jethro's Barbecue Soundoff is going to be on until 11 o'clock tonight. Last week we had Soundoff After Dark. Tonight we're scheduled to be on from 8 o'clock until 11 o'clock. And again, if you're expecting a high-scoring game. Well, I don't know what two teams you've been watching because the over-under on this is like 41. So it might be. I bet it at 41.5. Sean just informed me he bet it at 41.5.
Yeah, and I think it's gone down since then. I don't know if Sean said that. I think it's gone down. I don't know. Travis, you're right. Shouldn't be a very high-scoring game. Vegas doesn't think it's going to be a high-scoring game. We've been fooled on those things before. This is what I know, and I've been guaranteeing this all week. This is going to be an amazing sound-off tonight. Because either scenario, any scenario I can play out, we're going to have a great show tonight. Hawks lose by 1 million, people are going to be pissed off. We're going to have 2-3 hours of irate Hawkeye fans about what happened, how it happened. Hawks lose a close one, and it's still, hey, we're going to have 3 or 4 calls that say, boy, this sucks, this is awful. And about the 4th or 5th caller will say, still have the Big Ten championship as a potential here. And by the way, with what's happening on college football, maybe the college football playoff's still in play. Now let's play out the good ones.
It's interesting.
Hawks win this game at all, Travis, and now all of a sudden it's Big Ten title because you're going to be favored in the rest of these games.
Yes.
Big Ten title and potential college football playoff conversation. We could be a couple hours away from that.
Well, I tell you what, if they come out victorious in this game, it's you have to have your eyes set on the college football playoff. That's your goal now, right? I mean, obviously the Big Ten is, but now you're in that conversation where that's what I meant by the eyes of the nation are upon you. When you are number 3 in the country, you are now going to be judged about how you would look against Alabama, how you'd look against Georgia, because those are the 2 teams ahead of you. I actually got into a Facebook tiff, should we say, before about a couple hours ago. Somebody said, you know what, Hawks are overrated, and I don't know where you can say that, right? All they've done is, and they said they've struggled. This is what was cracking me up. The guy said, well, they've struggled in all their games. I'm like, well, then you know nothing about a Hawkeye football because they don't put – I think people are preconceived to think that if you don't put 40, 50 points on the board that you struggle in a game. Well, Iowa's never been built to put 40, 50 on the board. Yeah. 30, and they've been outscoring teams – 30 to 17 or something like that, 30 to 11 in this winning streak they're on.
Well, I think it's a couple things there, Travis. There is this video game culture, right, where we want to see offense. We want to see 49 points a game, all that stuff. And then, by the way, there are a couple of places around the country where you get that. Big 12 football, we just saw it with Texas and Oklahoma. They put up a ton of points. But we've really been spoiled by the Alabamas and Clemsons of the last decade that can actually go out there and put up 50-some points and have an incredible defense. They're unicorns that have been floating around the college football universe for the last couple of years. Alabama is still that team this year, unfortunately, but the Hawkeyes they're overrated is silly. For what they've done, the resume they've built so far, watching these games, I thought maybe you were going to say some people were saying they're overrated because the offensive numbers aren't there. The offensive numbers aren't there because they're playing on short fields. They're playing with a big lead. They're playing conservative. I don't think this offense can go out there and score 55 against Alabama. I'm not trying to say that. I think there are reasons why this offense has been a little bit restrained while the numbers look the way they do. And by the way, there's a reason this team is still undefeated and ranked number 3, and it's because this defense is an all-timer.
So somebody's actually watching us in the Netherlands right now. If you can see this, Mark said he's trying to watch. They can't watch the game on TV in the Netherlands online. Please keep up the updates. I can't listen to the game from KJN in Atlantic since Learfield doesn't work there. Well, here's the deal, because we get asked this all the time why the game doesn't stream, right? Learfield doesn't have the streaming rights to the Iowa football games. That's why, and people want to know, like, why isn't Soundoff, why when they get in the stadium or get out of the stadium, they turn on WHO and they can't hear WHO on the stream. It's because we don't take over until right when they cut off the network. So that's when we get to start streaming. Do you know? I know there's a stream out there. Do you know? He's in the. If anybody knows, help Mark out where he can go stream. This is a community here, so we can have that. But if you know where Mark can stream the game over in the Netherlands, because we want all Hawkeye fans to be able to listen to this game if you can't watch it. I thought it was interesting, Ross. My daughter lives in New Orleans, right? We got a couple minutes, but she wears her Iowa Hawkeye shirt down there all the time. And she texted me this week and said, "Dad, it is absolutely amazing." She goes, "Every time I wear my Iowa Hawkeye shirt, it's a conversation starter. Somebody comes up and says, 'Go Hawks,' and where are you from?" And it starts this big conversation about why you're wearing a Tiger Hawk, in this case down south in the SEC country. But it's just amazing. There's Hawkeyes all over the world and all over the country, and they when you wear the shirt, when you wear the black and gold, people find a way to start a conversation with you.
Yeah, it's global, baby.
It really is. Texas just tied the game against Oklahoma. Here's the deal: the Jethro's Barbecue Soundoff coming up from 8 to 11. Gary and Ed getting ready to start the game on News Radio 1040 WHO. He's Ross Peterson. I'm Travis Justice. We will see you after the first quarter. We're going to go get some Jethros in our belly. We'll see you then.